For 9.3, we are going to be working on more solving equations, but we're going to be working with multiplication and division now. So first we need to know their opposites. So the opposite of multiply is to divide, and the opposite of to divide is to multiply. So they can undo each other, just like addition and subtraction can cancel each other out. So can multiplication and division. So what we want to do is just like adding and subtracting is we want to get that variable all alone. We want to get that by itself to know what it equals. So to do that, we're going to do the opposite to both sides. Opposite to both sides. What you do to one side, you have to do to the other to make sure you keep that equation balanced. Because if I just divide on one side, the other side's going to get heavier. If I just multiply, then that makes that side heavier. So I've got to do it to both sides. They stay balanced. So let's try a few of those problems. So you have to show how you balance the equation. I know a lot of you can just look at that and be like, oh, I know that answer. That's not going to work. You have to prove how the equation remained balanced. That is what we are working on and practicing, so that as we get into two-step equations in the future, that we know how to do that. You have to show your work and the balancing. So this means 8 times v, coefficient, variable, together, that means multiply, 8 v's. So to undo this problem, the opposite of multiply is divide, and I'm going to divide on both sides. So now 8 divided by 8 is 1, right? If I have 1v, saying 1v or just saying v isn't going to make a difference. There's just one of them no matter what. So we canceled that out, the 8 out, we're just left with v, 1v, which is what we want. Now we do it to the other side. 32 divided by 8 equals 4, so v equals 4. Now we want to plug it back in and double check ourselves. 8 times 4, 8, 16, 24, 32 equals 32. So yes, v does equal 4. Okay, let's try here. We have j divided by 16 equals 5. So the opposite of divide is to multiply. So if we multiply, because this is like 1/16. So if I times by 16, that's going to cancel that out. And so there's just 1, j divided by 1, because this, right, is like a fraction. This is 1/16. And if I times it by its opposite, it canceled it out. So j divided by 1 would just be j. So, but I have to do it to the other side. So I'm going to do that out to the sides. Go ahead and do that with me. So 6 times 5, 5, 10, 15, 20, 25. And then we have 5 times 1 is 5, 6, 7. That is 75. So, oh wow, that was very, very terrible math. It's like, that is not going to be right. Let me try that again. And yeah, that was not making sense. When I would have done 75 divided by 16, would not have 5. So let's try that again. 16 times 5. Hopefully some of you noticed that that was not right. So we've got times by 6. I think I'm blaming that on the fingers, not messed me up. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30. That sounds better. And then 5 times plus 3 is 8. 80 divided by 16 is 5. So 16 can go in there 5 times. 16 times 5 is 80. So j equals 80. 80 divided by 16 is 5. Okay, here we have 3/4 of w. So 3/4 times w. The opposite of multiplying is to divide. So I'm going to do 3/4 divided by 3/4. All right, 3 divided by 3 is 1. 4 divided by 1 is or 4 is 1, right? 1 over 1 is 1. That canceled out. But now I have to take that 3/4. We divide it by 3/4, and I have to do it over here. It's got to go all the way to the end, right? Just like we did 32 divided by 8. We've got to bring it all the way to the end. We've got 6 divided by 3/4. So this is 6 over 1. So I could do 6 divided by 3, but I cannot do 1 divided by 4 very nicely. So to make this a multiplication problem, we can use that multiplicative inverse. Multiply by the opposite. Copy, dot, flop. Right? This was multiply. We want to do the opposite is divide. But when we brought it over here, it wasn't a nice number. So we're doing the opposite again. And let's see what we get. So I noticed that 3 and 6 have a common factor. 3 goes into 3. 3 divided by 3 is 1. 6 divided by 3 is 2. So 2 times 4 is 8 over 1. So W equals 8. So let's check 3/4 times 8. So I notice those can simplify to 1 and 2. 3 times 2 is 6 over 1. 6, yep. So W equals 8 is the solution. So when you see that fraction times, you want to do the opposite. Divide, bring it to the back and divide. Copy dot flop if you need to. Okay, last one for this section. We have n divided by 13.2. So the opposite of dividing is to multiply. And remember, this is like a fraction. This is 1 over 13.2 right now. So we don't know what n is. So the opposite is going to cancel that out. If I times it by, if I times by 13.2, they just cancel each other out. So I'm just left with n. But now I have to do that on the other side. So find a place on your paper. You can do that with me. 13.2 times 4.5. I'm going to try and count a little better this time. So 5, 10. Then we've got 15 plus 1 is 16. 5 plus 1 is 6. Now we're doing our placeholder because we're making our answer 10 times bigger. 4, so I'm going to cross these out so I don't use them again. 4 times 2 is 8. 4 times 3 is 12. 4 plus 1 is 5. So I can add these together now. So there's 14, 6, 7, 8, 9, and a 5. 1, 2, decimals, 1, 2. So 59.4 divided by 13.2 should equal 4.5. So if I'm thinking about that right, 13, that's pretty close to 15. So 15, 30, 45, 60, and it was a little smaller, and it's about 60, about 4 times. So that sounds like it makes sense. I won't make you do 59.4 divided by 13.2 to check it out, but it should make sense. If all of a sudden I came up with a number of 500, well, I know 13 can go into 500 a lot more times than just 4. Or if I came up with an answer of 5.9, 13 can't go into 5.9 4 times. So just ask yourself, is this reasonable? Does this make sense? So I'm saying, yes, that makes sense. 59.4 is the answer for N.